This is a Sue Ann Levy column in the Toronto Sun. Toronto Parking Authority struggles with anti-car mindset. A representative of the recently created Housing Now website turned up at City Committee Wednesday to demand that millions of dollars be diverted from surface parking lots to finance affordable housing projects. Mark Richardson told councillors surface parking is a giant sinkhole and that any further land acquisition by the Toronto Parking Authority should be reviewed to ensure it includes an affordable housing component. Deb, is there a way to satisfy both sides on this thing? I mean, can we not have housing that has parking underground or something?
So that is the exact answer, Jerry.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the problem I continue to believe that we have in this city is that we have not embraced density in a way that we should. We should be building higher, particularly in the downtown core, and whether that means parking on the top or parking underground, it's got to be a major component of every development. And to do that, you make developments higher. And we should be doing it throughout the city at subway stations. We should be doing it in the downtown core, and we're not doing it. So it's not housing or parking. It's surface parking in the city of Toronto should not exist, at least within the old part of the city.
Okay, but when somebody comes to City Hall and calls surface parking a giant sinkhole, I think we're dealing with a person who actually doesn't want to find a solution for everybody.
Agreed, but that doesn't mean that the core of what they're protesting is wrong. It just means their solution is wrong.
I mean, to Deb's point, to actually the person that went to City Hall, their point was that a surface parking lot's a very poor use of space. The problem is it's about $50,000 to go underground for each parking spot. So there's a huge cost to that. The last point, though, Deb wants more density. The problem is areas such as where you live, and I know you're not this way, no one wants that density.
Even though you've got to get over it.
Even though, it's easier said than done, but you're right on a subway line. And at the corner that I'm thinking of, I don't think there's a building higher than 5 stories.
So I'm at Yonge and Lawrence. I've said this many times on your show before, Jerry, and we have 3 to 4 stories, 4 corners there, and in fact, I think 2 stories and a library.
Well, and the other point I wanted to make is, this person wants more affordable housing. That's great. But what about the $66 million in revenue the city gets from the parking lot?
But that doesn't have to change if it's part of a high-rise building.
It changes to the extent that it's going to cost $10 million to actually put in the spots.
It's so funny. Everyone only remembers today and yesterday. They don't remember, like, in 1998 when I worked with Mel Lastman, there was 2 cranes in downtown Toronto. We were doing things to beg people to come downtown. And so there's economic cycles, and there's going to come a time and place when everything is not booming downtown again. And we're going to want to be able to get Americans to come over from Buffalo and come downtown Toronto, go to a concert, go to a movie, go to a restaurant, spend some time and money. And so that's going to involve them driving a car. So affordable housing doesn't have to come at the expense of parking, and parking doesn't have to come at the expense of this. This sort of combative polarization of politics has to stop. And we have to have a big picture of how we make our city to be the best place to work, live, and play. And that involves parking and cars, and that's just a part of reality.
Okay, so I'm reading a text message here. Density, density, density. How many people do these people want to cram into one small space? Well, more, actually. And it's either that or just accept the fact that we're going to have limited housing in Toronto, and it's going to cost a fortune. And if you can't afford it, sorry, you can't afford it because the anti-density people win.
It's crazy. Like, Yonge and Lawrence is Midtown, North Toronto, whatever you want to call it. But it is a good place to live in terms of getting to work, getting to the 401. It's a great location. And to not have density on the subway line, the Yonge line, is crazy.
Yeah, but what's worse is the Danforth line. Go from Yonge East, and I don't know of a building over 5 stories all the way across to Vic Park. Right? But no, everyone wants density.
Well, we need to start putting them there then.
Well, yeah, and if you had some money, you should invest in property on the Danforth, because within 20 years, I bet it'll be mandated.
Okay, but then it's also going to be a fight, isn't it, with people who are already there? We don't want great big buildings in our neighborhood. Well, that's the ongoing fight.
It is, but that's why we elect politicians, to make smart decisions for us, not just for today, but into the future. And secondly, I'm not calling for density everywhere. But if we aren't building it along our major arteries, that's ridiculous.
Well, but that's why the province has to take over, because you're not going to get a councillor who has to get reelected yelling for more density along the Danforth line or at Yonge and Lawrence.
So,
for that matter,
in
Deb.
other words, despite what Doug Ford did, we still have too many councillors. Thank you for that.
That's your
Today
closer.
is
Good night, everybody.
Hear,
I'm
hear.
out. My last show, I really enjoyed it.